All right, what is up, folks? Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to talk about how extremely toxic white culture has become, and also so many of these white women, they've had just a 100% fall from grace. Yeah, at this point, I am 100% positive that every single male audience member has seen this video. Okay, it's titled "One Night in Paris." Yeah, so who was in Paris, if you're wondering? So, by the way, okay, when I'm talking about One Night in Paris, I'm not talking about Paris, France. Everybody has seen that video, okay? Every single guy, certainly. This was released back in 2004. Yeah, Paris Hilton, her infamous sex tape. This obviously led to a massive lawsuit by Paris Hilton. First of all, this was 2004. It's not like this was filmed with some kind of secret hidden camera. So you have a huge camera right in your face. It was mounted to a tripod. She claims that, at the time, she had no awareness. I don't know exactly how she said it. Maybe she said she was stoned or drunk. She had no spatial awareness. She had no idea what was going on. She had no idea this whole thing was being filmed. Well, I mean, she 100% knew. She knew exactly what she was doing. So, yeah, you guys remember, right? So, yeah, who was Paris Hilton before 2004? Nobody knew her. She was absolutely nothing. But yeah, look at what happened after One Night in Paris, right? She became one of the most famous female celebrities in the world. Yeah, she knew exactly what she was going into, and she wanted to monetize it. It's the oldest profession in the world, right? It's called being a horologist, right? So, she's into the study of horology. Because, I mean, what talent does Paris Hilton have? Even just by her looks, right? Even just by her jawline. A prime Paris Hilton is maybe, 6 out of 10 at best? I don't find her to be attractive at all. So, yeah, and just like that. And you guys have to remember, right? So, from 2004 to 2007, Paris Hilton, she had a meteoric rise, right, to fame. And she's always had her bestie, her sidekick, whatever you want to call her. Yeah, but back then, right, up until 2007, nobody knew who this woman was. Who was this woman? Yeah, Kim Kardashian. All of a sudden, right, 3 years later, from 2004 to 2007, Kim Kardashian out of nowhere also has a meteoric rise to fame, and she actually probably became even more famous than Paris Hilton. So why did Kim Kardashian become more famous than Paris Hilton? Well, you have to remember in 2007. Okay, stop lying, you guys. You guys have all seen the tape. She had a very, very famous movie that was released. And yeah, she claims it to be leaked. Okay, that's complete BS. It's complete made up. This was her idea. She wanted to release it for millions of people to see it because she wants a meteoric rise to fame. Yeah, she had that famous film with the big black guy, Ray J. Yeah, that's exactly why Kim Kardashian becomes so popular because, she's known to be sleeping around with a bunch of black guys, right? She loves those professional athletes. So yeah, after her 2007 movie with the big black guy Ray J, and she literally became probably the #1 most famous female celebrity on the internet. This is how degenerate our society has become. I'll give you guys another great example. So, yeah, you guys can look this up. So yeah, I've known this woman for quite some time because I'm something of a runner myself as well. Even though right now, yes, I'm pretty out of shape. But yeah, I'm about to quit my full-time job within the next 6 weeks. And my #1 goal after that is, getting my fitness back. And I would definitely want to qualify for another World Marathon Majors. So yeah, this is a 3-time Olympian. Susie Favor Hamilton. Yeah, Favor. Yeah, it's very interesting. So yeah, and she had a very famous incident in Sydney 2000. So in that race, basically she was one of the favorites, maybe not to win, to at least win the medal. But as she was coming down the home stretch, she realized that she has expended all of her energy. There was no way she could even finish in the top 5. So she actually faked the fall and she staged the injury. She's like, oh my God, I worked so hard, but now you have to carry me out in the wheelchair. My leg is broken. I pulled my hamstring. So yeah, she's basically a dictionary definition of a narcissistic psychopath. Yeah, she was carried out of the stadium in a wheelchair, and it wasn't until many years later she actually finally admitted that she actually faked the injury, gaining sympathy from her fans. Yeah, she actually even wrote a book. It's called Fast Girl. Well, yeah, why am I bringing up Susie Favor Hamilton? Guess what she's doing now? Yeah, She's the number 3 girl, well, at one time, right? So I don't know where she's now. She's probably still, practicing horology, but at one time during her peak, yeah, she was the number 3 most sought after girl in Las Vegas. She had a stage name called Kelly Lundy. Yeah, you can look up Kelly Lundy. She was charging $600 per hour to be a horologist. Once again, right? The oldest profession in the world. And you guys want to know why Kelly Lundy is so popular? How she got to become the number 3 girl in Vegas? How she can charge $600 per hour? Yeah, she was sleeping around with a bunch of black professional athletes. Yeah, all of these guys, they complain about colonization, complain about racism. They all want to play in the snow. They all want to be winter soldiers. They're willing to pay Kelly Lundy or Susie Favor Hamilton $600 per hour. So yeah, that's your typical American track and field girl. That's what she's been up to. By the way, yeah, she's still married. You can look up Susie Favor Hamilton. She's married to a white guy. Okay, Mark Hamilton. I mean, that is the absolute biggest L you can ever take. I mean, that's probably worse than Bevo. That's, worse than Cash Singh. And that's why I said, I don't think divorce should be illegal. Everybody should get 1 divorce per person. And that's it. If you've failed at your first marriage, you should not be allowed to get married again. But yeah, the fact that Mark Hamilton is still married, that's just outrageous, man. I don't know what to say, man. There are no words to describe a Mark Hamilton situation. Remember a few videos back, I said who is my #1 celebrity crush? I said it's Victoria Justice. Have you guys seen that show of Victorious? It doesn't really matter, honestly. I don't even watch the show. I've seen a few clips. I just saw her face. And by the way, she's actually half Latin. Her mom is Puerto Rican, so she's not really fully European. She's of a mixed race background. So yeah, I want you guys to look up, Dan Schneider, producer of that show. Yeah, that was so creepy now looking back on it, because you can search up that interview. So basically Victoria was asked about how she was casted into Victorious. Obviously, she was supposed to be the mean girl of the show. That's why it's called Victorious. But unfortunately, her character kind of fell off. And I'll tell you guys exactly why her character fell off. Yeah, watch this documentary, Quiet on Set. The things that goes on behind the scenes, right, in Nickelodeon, in Hollywood, it's so disturbing what they're doing to these children, because she was a minor, along with Amanda Bynes, along with Ariana Grande, right, when they were casted into the show. That was extremely disturbing, but I think a lot of you guys have pretty much expected this. Yeah, look at what happened to Ariana Grande, right? She agreed to, Dan Schneider's request, right? She chose to live the whole life. And she also, just like Paris Hilton, just like Kim Kardashian, she had a meteoric rise to fame. And yeah, look at what they did to Amanda Bynes. It was reported that she was actually impregnated by Dan Schneider when she was just 13 years old, and she was forced to get an abortion. Yeah, look up a picture of Amanda Bynes now. That's what Hollywood did to her. That's what Dan Schneider did to her. That's the price you have to pay if you want a meteoric rise to fame. Yeah, you become someone like Amanda Bynes. Yeah, just looking at pictures of her now is extremely disturbing. Yeah, I'll give you guys another example. Look at Tate McRae, right? She's had a meteoric rise to fame. Look at just any of her music videos. Look at how much over-sexualization there is, right? So, if you want to make it big in Hollywood, basically you have to sign a contract with the devil. But Victoria Justice, she refused all of that. That's why all of these years later, she looks probably the most healthy, right, compared to all of the other cast members. And she's definitely the least toxic. And ever since her days at Victorious, ever since her days as Tori Vega, she has not aged a single day. She still looks like exactly the same. Yeah, and it was revealed because, her career fell off, right? Her acting career, her music career completely fell off because she refused to have sex with Dan Schneider, along with all of those creeps that you guys see in Hollywood. And that's why out of all of the celebrities in Hollywood, right, I have the most respect for her, because she chose to not become a hoe. Because, yeah, it is so easy, right? It's so easy to become Ariana Grande, to choose to become Tate McRae or Amanda Bynes or Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian or Susie Favor Hamilton. But yeah, she remained to be a Victoria Dawn Justice. But yeah, just I want to list a couple more examples on just how sickening, how toxic, how degenerate our society has become. Yeah, why are there so many mukbang channels? I mean, that is the dictionary definition of a disgusting fetish. I mean, that is the definition of gluttony, man. So I don't know who's watching those videos. Obviously, if you're watching a young girl doing mukbang, so I think probably in those videos, probably 97% of our audiences will be men, and we all know exactly what those men are doing. And yeah, I've looked up some of these mukbang videos. Some of these videos are like an hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours long. And some of these, if you want to call them content creators, they're uploading like 3, 4, 5, 6 videos a week. How do you guys think they can eat so much, right? 99% of it is fake. Most of the time they have a garbage bin that's right underneath the table, and they just pretend to chew on the food for 30 seconds and they spit everything out. I mean, the content creators aside, right, the people who are watching that, yeah, you're also a dictionary definition of a narcissistic psychopath. This is all absolutely terrible. This is how degenerate our society has become. And also, yeah, the mukbang inside, right? Stop following streamers like Pokimane. Stop following streamers like Alex Botes. It's terrible, terrible for young men. So I've written a couple of quotes on the board. I want you guys to really, really think about this. Sometimes we will all have to choose between what is right versus what is easy. And yeah, just so what is right versus what is easy? What is easy? Sophie Rain. By the way, Sophie Rain is also a half Asian through her mother's side. So many of these half Asian girls go on to become 304s, right? #1 girl on OnlyFans. She's making something like $80 million a year. Absolutely outrageous. But yeah, what is right? So instead of choosing to become Sophie Rain 2.0, you can choose to live the life of Brad Cooper, who is happily married, and she has a beautiful family. Yeah, here comes another quote. So yeah, it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but it takes a great deal more to stand up to your friends. I'm going to read that again. I want you guys to remember this quote. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends. Who said that? Albus Dumbledore to Neville Longbottom. Yeah, remember that quote. And just to finish off this video, so this video recently popped up in my recommendations. I don't know why I clicked on it. I watched it. Honestly, this is the bravest white man alive, okay? It's not Superman, it's not Batman, it's not Spider-Man. It's this man, 38 years old, Michael Phillips from the UK. Yeah, he's the Guinness World Record holder for, yes, the world's smallest penis. Okay, you guys can watch that interview. I did not make this up. You can look up Michael Phillips. Just to imagine, right, the amount of courage that it takes for Michael Phillips to come out on national TV, right, to reveal his deepest, his darkest secret. Honestly, I truly applaud him because 99.999% of the men on planet Earth will never ever have this kind of bravery, will never have this kind of courage. And yeah, this is why I showed you guys those two quotes. So yeah, his penis is actually measured at 0.38 inches or 0.95 centimeters for metric units erect. If you're wondering how that's possible, by the way, when I first clicked on the video, I was expecting like 2 inches. I could have never expected the 0.38 inches. I'm so sorry to Michael, man. So yeah, he is actually diagnosed with a medical condition called micropenis. I didn't know that was a thing either until I watched that video. So basically, yeah, Michael Phillips, he's 38 years old. He's not able to have a sex life because, 0.38 inches. And I've mentioned this in previous videos, right? It's so important to be 100% honest, guys, okay? This is how it works, right? The average size erect is probably between 5 to 5.5 inches worldwide. That means that, you have the average in the middle. This is the spread, right? So 50% of the men, right? That's over 2 billion men on Earth are above average, and over 2 billion men on Earth are below average, right? Everybody gets so mad, everybody gets so offended, and when I talk about why this group of men have small penises or why this group of men have bigger penises, right? So while the reality is over 2 billion men on Earth have below average size penises, that's just how it works, right? On the extreme end, right, you have Jonah Falcon, right, who's right here. So he's at 13.5 inches erect. Then unfortunately on the other extreme end of the spectrum, you have Michael Phillips, who's 0.38 inches erect, right? So half of you guys, right? Half of you, right? That's over 2 billion men on Earth. You're right here. So yeah, it's extremely important to be honest. And I'll come back to the board for one more quote, right? So, once you admit all of your flaws and all of your weaknesses, there's absolutely nothing in this world that can stop or hurt you anymore. your enemies have absolutely nothing to use against you anymore. For example, right, one of these hillbillies, right, one of these douchebags, one of these bullies that goes up to you and says that, hey, you're flaky. But how would you respond, right? Just be 100% honest. So, one of these hillbillies comes over, says you're flaky. You just respond with, okay, that's it. For example, some guy can go right up to my face and tell me, hey, you're ugly. And my response will be extremely simple. I'll just say, okay, and that's it. From that point on, right, you're absolutely invincible. Because, once you admit to all of your weaknesses, once you admit to all of your flaws, there's absolutely nothing your enemies can leverage to use against you anymore. So yeah, if you want to succeed in this life, start with being 100% honest. And honestly, I have so much respect for Michael Phillips. Thank you so much for your courage and your bravery. And just want to thank all of you guys for clicking on this video and watching it all the way until the end. If you guys have enjoyed the contents of this video, please consider subscribing to this channel and turning on the notification button. And I will see you guys back on this channel for Friday.